Hi everybody, it's Kris here from the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Just to let you know, as always, this podcast is now part of the 90-Minute Football Network and proudly sponsored by www.pt-4-u.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, and it is me, Kris Wallace, joined by Mr. Ryan Taylor. Hi Ryan, how are you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
It has been a while, mate. I think this is probably your fourth podcast now, which we've done together. Obviously, we've done the first two interviews. We've done your starting 11 as well, where you went through the ranks and picked all the players. And I think there was only two Newcastle players, which you didn't pick in that one, mate. Can you remember which two it were? It was a striker and a left back.
Yeah, definitely Leighton Baines, and striker was Robbie Keane, wasn't
It was, mate. Well done.
it?
Well done, mate. So everybody who is watching or listening, you will know that we'll put on social media not so long ago that hopefully we're going to have Ryan Taylor on at least once a month just to go through what's going on with Newcastle United at the minute. And I think, Ryan, it's a perfect month to start on. Obviously, Newcastle got the takeover not so long ago. Actually, FaceTimed you from St. James's Park, mate.
No. We couldn't hear each other.
We couldn't, but we could see everything which was happening.
Yeah. No. If I lived closer, or it would have been some night to just go up there.
It was great, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Who's the singer? Is it Sam Fender?
Sam Fender was there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he was on telly the next day, wasn't he? So
rough as out.
Oh, yeah. But no, it looked class. To be fair, it would have been one of those nights you'll probably never forget.
That's what it is, mate. I think I was ringing as many of my mates that weren't there as possible and just ringing them, just saying, experience this moment right now. I was trying to make them a little bit jealous at the same time, to be honest. But I think if you were in the local vicinity there, like, you had to make your way to St. James's Park, because you see the scenes outside of the likes of Anfield, your obviously club, and you look there and you think, right, they won the Premier League, they won the Champions League, and the scenes are absolutely remarkable. We had a similar thing for a takeover.
Just because, I know, yeah. Do you think Derby are going to do something similar when he takes over them?
Mate, to be fair, the whole thing with Derby, I can understand why they might welcome Mike Ashley in regards to just trying to balance it out to that point. Yeah. But then I think at that point, that's when you start to worry about what the next step is.
Well, it's once he gets his signs up and around the stadium, and your club that you used to is gone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I can't wait, mate. I'm not sure.
Welcome.
You probably don't know St. James's Park without Sports Direct.
Yeah, probably no. Well, I mean, when I first went there, it wasn't the signs when
there wasn't as many.
Yeah, they weren't like plastered to the top and stuff like that. So, but then season by season, it just looked like
it was. Mate, it was the one. So you're coming out the players' tunnel, and only a couple of seasons ago, Mike Ashley decided to put, it was like a light board in front of the players' entrance coming out of the tunnel. So it was like a light box, and it looked like a kebab shop, and it just had Sports Direct around the tunnel. And I'm thinking, this is getting too far now. It's getting too far. Yeah. Every opportunity there's a Sports Direct. But I was there on Saturday against Cambridge, which we'll get on in a minute, and not a single Sports Direct sign inside, mate. And it looks like a different stadium.
Yeah, I bet for all, obviously, like yourself and all the fans, it's a pleasure now walking in and not seeing one of them signs anymore. Like one of them, like, good riddance to them signs,
Mate,
because is it Castore? Is it the
Castore? Yeah, the new brand.
It's like, and even though they might have a few, it's a tidy little, like,
it's a small brand. It's a small brand.
Yeah, but it's not advertising something that. I mean, I've even seen TV shows of how they treat people at sports. It's not advertising something that no one wants to even know. It's like,
Yeah.
but and then once you name the stadium and everything, it's like, oh my God, where does this guy end? But yeah,
Just
no,
just
good
because you
riddance to them
mentioned that,
signs anyway.
just because you mentioned that, because you were in and around the club at the time, what was the players' thoughts when they were, all right, we're going to showcase St James's Park naming rights? Then it became the Sports Direct Arena at St James's Park. Did you all have a little bit of a laugh about that at the time?
It's one of them things, like when you're in the dressing room, you don't really chat amongst the lads about it. But I always remember doing interviews, and never once did I um like say them words.
Yeah,
Every time I said, like, we had a home game, it's like, let's make St James's a fortress, or
yeah,
let's get some wins at home at St James's. And it was like I purposely never spoke about it in the Sports Direct Arena
mm,
way, because it's not, if as a player you start talking about the stadium like that, you don't know the history of the club. And you
it's
know
it's it's not going to go down well with
yeah,
fans
of
as
course,
well.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
of course.
and I think as players, you probably, the first thing you want to do is obviously perform well on the field, but then the second thing is probably not piss the fans off.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to keep as many fans on your side as you can, because obviously when you're not, say you're not having a good day,
Mm,
then fans will still back you,
yeah.
because they know it's just a bad day. And not everyone has a good game every week, you know what I mean? But the fans, if they've got your back, they've got your back. Um,
Mm,
I mean, only up until a certain point. Like, if you
yeah,
keep having a
true.
stinker, they'll get on you. But,
Mate, we'll dive straight into it, and we've had a quick chat before I press record there tonight, and you've been involved in quite a handful of cup games, both for Newcastle and the other clubs, and we've got both sides of the fences with you as well, where you've played as an underdog, as a playing for a football team at Tranmere it was, and obviously you played as in a team that you would expect to go forward and advance against the likes of a lower league team. A few of which, mate, obviously you wouldn't have been involved in a lot of these teams, but you would have been around the football club at the time. So I'll go right back to 2009 FA Cup game against West Brom. Newcastle lost 4-2. League Cup Peterborough. Newcastle lost 2-0. Stevenage in 2010. Newcastle lost 3-1. Brighton 2011-2012 we lost 1-0. And 2013-2014 were lost to Cardiff at home 2-1 as well, mate. If I'm going to ask the question, is going into this fixture as a Premier League player, does anything change in regards to the preparation to that game, or is it just taken as another Premier League game, apart from you might bring the likes of some of the youngsters in there, some of the fringe players in there? Does anything change in regards to preparation?
no, the prep stays the same, but the manager will just be. He'll Sometimes it could go both ways, because the manager could be saying, "Hey, no pressure today, boys." You know what I mean? Where the pressure's the league games, no pressure. So then standards might drop, but and then that, like, the adrenaline you have on match day in league games might be different, and obviously everyone's different. So, but I can only go off sort of when I was there. Like, if I knew I was playing, I'd never prep different from like playing Accrington Stanley away to playing. I mean, don't get me wrong, playing Aki away in the League Cup is a different feeling to playing Man United at home in the league. Um,
Is that because of the
you,
stadium, the surroundings, and things like that?
yeah, there's a lot more nervous energy in amongst your body and stuff like that. So, but if you give these lower league teams a sniff, and you don't put them to bed early on, and you don't stamp your authority on the game, the longer they're in the game, they're always going to get a chance, and that's obviously what happened. And it just shows, with no striker on the pitch,
Yeah.
recognised number 9, which Newcastle are quite known for. You're always going to struggle. And we spoke on the day of the game, and certain players just weren't up to it, because it was Cambridge, and if you take Cambridge lightly, they're not going to take you lightly. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much quality you've got. If you're not if you're not on it, and only 5, 6 years are, the 11 for Cambridge are going to be on it, no matter if they're even if they're not having a good game. They've got one shot to play at St James's. And, 90% probably of that squad will never play there again because if other players move on and go to different clubs and then get Newcastle again in different cup competitions, they might get to St James's again. But if you've got one chance to go and play at St James's, you're not going to waste it. So whereas the Newcastle players probably, they know they're going to be back there, so there's not as much like, it's hard to say, but I'm sure Eddie Howe would have nailed on, would never have expected to go out of that cup. The team he put out, you would 100% thought they'd have gone through, but
like it was a very strong side, mate. It was a very, very strong side. And do you think the reason why there was a strong side, obviously, were last two games against Southampton and Everton called off because of injuries and COVID, because of that club? Do you think that's the reason why he's probably thought, right, I have to feel the strong side to get the fitness up ready for the Watford game come Saturday?
Of course, yeah, but it's also a winning mentality as well. It doesn't matter who you play. If you win a game of football, it changes the dressing room atmosphere. So, God knows how that dressing room feels now after losing to Cambridge. But the pressure comes now when they play Watford because there's your bread and butter. I mean, I spoke to a lad who I play golf with now and again. He's a big Newcastle fan, and we got chatting, and we were chatting about the cup, and we were saying, listen, you beat Cambridge, you should beat Cambridge, no problem. But then Newcastle seems to always get your big teams. Could get City away, United away, Chelsea away. So
it's normally City or Arsenal. Those are the two teams we normally get.
So then you go out sometimes, and especially in the position they're in, the league, if you win the cup and get relegated, what's the point? So go and play Arsenal away, have a good goal, and you know what? If they beat you, you go, do you know what? We're out the cup. And you say, right, lads, the league now, that is it. And that's all they got to play for. But, it's just it's one of them. Like, losing to Cambridge, it sort of epitomises the season.
Do you recognise that as a player, though? If you're on the end of one of those defeats and you're being knocked out of the cup, do you literally go in the dressing room and the feeling is, right, now we can focus on the league, or is it just completely flat throughout?
I'd imagine it would have been a quiet dressing room, an embarrassed dressing room, to be honest.
Because bearing in mind, it was Kieran Trippier's debut game as well. He's came from the Spanish side that have just won the league. Then, first game for Newcastle United with a more or less stronger starting 11 that you can play. So a team that you would expect to play in the Premier League in the next fixture against Watford. And you get beat by a League One team that are fighting relegation in that league.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been quiet. Do you know what? It wouldn't have surprised me if on that day a few home truths came out. And listen, players who don't want to be here, there's the door. And if you do, get your head down and we go again. But I wouldn't have, even though I said it would have been an embarrassed and quiet dressing room. I then think, you know what, it might not have been, might have been the complete opposite. Players, like pointing fingers and digging people out, and sometimes that's what it needs. You can't always be nice, because they're not your. When I say they're not your mates,
you might have pockets of mates in there.
Then not everyone's your mate. You get on with everyone, that's fine. I mean, I look back and think, how many people do I speak to now from the clubs I've played at?
I think this is a problem which a lot of football fans, like myself, probably in the past, before I spoke to you last year or the year before, I probably thought, they all get on, they're all friends and stuff like that. But it's just a normal working environment. I go to work and I hate half the bastards in my place. So as a footballer, you're probably the same way. You think, right? I need to get on them to a certain extent because you need that chemistry on the football field. But once training and you clock out of training, that's you done until the next day.
Yeah, and you wouldn't send them a text and say, "Oh, what are you up to?" Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
you know what? It's because James Purge doesn't reply to text, mate. That's why.
Yeah, of course. I think you should bin him now. Yeah.
Who's the next one?
But yeah, I think I hope anyway they have a good reaction to the Watford game, because now, I mean, you look now that the games they've got with Watford and Leeds coming up. I think I was looking at the fixtures before. I think in the next 4 games, because you've got Watford, Leeds, Everton, Villa. I think if you don't get 7 points, I think it's done. And that's like a minimum 7 points, because, well, then if you're playing Watford and they pick up points, they're going to creep up. Leeds, if you don't beat them, they're going to get points. Everton, who are close, they're not in a false position. They've just been terrible this season. If they pick up points, they're away. Villa have picked up. So I think if Newcastle don't get 7 points and a few new signings, I think it's going to be really hard, because then fixtures start becoming like Chelsea and the big dogs then. And if you don't start picking up against the teams around you and they pick up against you, then the good thing is that it's been that bad. They're still in with a good chance to stay up, which is, it's crazy after 19 games, 11 points,
1 win.
19 games.
1 win.
I know, and you're still in with a chance of staying up. I mean, what's going to be the total? Probably like 32 maybe to stay up this season, or something around that figure.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. So, and if I'm looking at the league, I'm thinking anyone of the bottom 3 and Watford and Leeds. And then apart from that, I can't see anyone else getting sucked into it.
So you mentioned, I mentioned the likes of the dressing room feeling and stuff like that after that cup game, and apparently the Newcastle owners saw Amanda Stavely, her husband, Mary Dad, and our chairman went in the dressing room at full time just to introduce themselves and stuff like that. Have you ever been in a position where you've been sat in the dressing room and the owners just rocked up unannounced, saying, "Oh, how you doing, lads?"
Yeah, see, I don't get that, because
strange.
Go to the training ground.
Yeah. Well, they have done that when they first bought the club. Amanda Stavely did go to the training ground, but it was just a strange one that after the cup game they decided to walk into the training ground, into the dressing room. Strange one.
Maybe she was just trying to catch a few with no gear on. Maybe, you never know. But no, I mean, to go in straight out. You know what? If they had Tom Cambridge 5-0, you walk in and say, "Hi lads," and this is hi, and meet everyone, and morale's up. But
yeah,
you've just got embarrassed by a League One struggling team, and your chairman walks in. If you've had a stinker, it's probably the last person you want to see, because they're looking at you thinking you're gone. It's like, they're just walking around, and you know what? It's like Squid Game. It's like, see ya. But they're that rich. They could do anything they want. So
would that worry you as a player? Say if you were in that playing squad right now, would that worry you, the fact that there's a multi-million-pound takeover in Newcastle and Newcastle become the richest club in the world? As a player, do you sit there and worry about your future, or do you think I can easily run my contract down if needs be, then move on afterwards?
It depends. If you've got 6 months left and your contract's up in June, July, and the club are where they are you panicking, because you're not. Chances are you're not going to get into the Premier League club.
Okay.
So then you start. Then you're already probably on the phone to your agent saying, "I haven't heard nothing from the club. We need to tout my name about and get my name out there to say like I could be available." But if you're on really good money and you've got 3 years left, like, and it sounds terrible, but some of these players, they don't care.
Well, if a better offer doesn't come along, you can't really blame them for sitting there and picking that wage up, can you?
Oh no, because it's not their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like someone saying, "Yeah, do you want a lottery ticket? Do you want to win a lottery ticket?" Nah, you're all right, mate. Of course you're going to say yeah. So, and it's exactly the same. Do you want a 4-year deal? Okay. Wait, I'll just go out and have a think about it. Of course you don't even think. So, and you don't blame players, but at the same time, you've got to they've got to want to do it, and to not beat Cambridge, mates, probably is the low of the season so far, and there's been a few lows.
Yeah, there's been a lot of those.
And in front of a sellout, by the way. And you've got, because I remember cup games at Newcastle, especially third round FA Cup games, the top stand weren't even open sometimes.
Yeah, mate, you'd be lucky to get 20,000.
Of course, yeah, but there was no need to open it because it wasn't like we just didn't get the crowds. But now everyone wants to go to the game, and they just because Mike's not there no more. People have got the love back for Newcastle, but you just wish that then players can perform and get results.
Well, tickets these days, mate, absolute gold dust in the Premier League. Gold dust. Majority of season ticket holders now. And obviously, season ticket holders get first access to the tickets as well. So, me being a season ticket holder, to go on sale and I can go and buy a couple for my mates that aren't season ticket holders. Then it gets to the point where they go on general sale, but there's very few that are up for grabs. And I think as a fan base, and Newcastle United fans have been tarred with this brush, and to a certain degree, probably rightly so, where we can get on the backs of players, and you probably would have experienced it yourself, where if things aren't going well in the first 20, 30 minutes of a football game, and players are misplacing passes and putting it out of touch, we can turn to a point where you hear the groans, you hear the anger in the crowd. It's something which I haven't witnessed this season, mate. From the first kick, from obviously the start of the Premier League, we haven't seen it. You've got war flags there in the Gallowgate, which every single week, mate, they are there.
It looks good, to be fair.
Mate, I'll this is something that I'll remember like till the day I die. So the first game of the takeover, I had Spurs, and they played Jimmy Neal's song "Big River," and they put the big signs out and everything. And it was really emotional. I turned me left, and Mark, who I do the Oarsman and Faces podcast on a Monday, he sits to my left hand side, and I turned, and I could see him filling up, like just filling up, and I was like, "You all right?" And I could see like tears in his eyes, and I just give him a big hug. I was like, "Mate, like we've done it, right? He's gone. Mike Ashley's gone. The future is going to be a lot better than what it is and has been." And something else which I'll always remember is we're a few goals down against Man City in the dire minutes of the game. And out of nowhere, people start waving the flags again in the 87th minute, start waving those flags again. And it was at that point to me, and I thought as a fan, right, we are behind you as a team, as a squad. You need to start pulling your finger out now and showing some, not necessarily appreciation, but putting that little bit more effort into your play. And I think a lot of fans got a little bit annoyed with a handful of players after the Cambridge defeat, because a lot of players just went down the tunnel, didn't even come over the fans. So a few of the bigger players, like it's the Saint Maximum, who's clearly a fan favourite, went straight down the tunnel, and you've got the new lad Kieran Trippier that's basically trying to convince him to come back out of the tunnel to applaud the fans. That doesn't look good. Like, we are there paying our money. It's 52,000. FA Cup third round against a League One struggling side. We are there. Come over and at least show your appreciation for the fan base.
People, do you know what? Some players probably think if I go over there, I'm getting nailed.
Get slated, yeah.
And they're just too scared to do it. But you see, and it sounds, it would have happened that if Newcastle would have been won 1-0, 2-0, any scoreline you wanted, St. Maximum would have done a fucking lap of the pitch.
Flips.
Of course, yeah. He'd have gave us their band away. And like, you know what? I get you've lost the game, but don't just leg it.
You don't. It's hard. I'm not even saying yeah,
because
mate.
You're thinking if I walk over there, I'm just going to get two fingers. But if you're saying now the club's changed and everything, then it sounds like they won't. Like they won't.
The thing is, Ryan,
at the minute,
as a player, it's not very often you see fans come right into the corners, and you'll know the strawberry corner yourself, the one where it makes the noise in the corner of the Gallowgate, going in the east stand. That's the loudest part, and you do see a few players coming over there at the end of the game. I'll tell you what, Jacob Murphy is always the last player on the pitch, and he always does a lap, and he comes out. he's a Newcastle fan. He is Jacob Murphy, so he's never really going to get any abuse or jazz from the Newcastle fans. But you don't even have to come over that part. You just need to take a few steps away from the centre circle, just look in the direction, make a few claps, and that's it. That's all that we're asking for as a fan base. And for St. Maximin, like you said, it was probably the case where he might have thought, if I go down there, I'm going to get a bit of shit because he didn't have the greatest games. A lot of dancing, a lot of step overs, a lot of Michael Jackson swings and that, but didn't have the greatest game, mate. And if that was you on that pitch, and if you're a senior pro and one of your teammates walks off the pitch, does that annoy you a little bit?
I can see how it can annoy certain people, yeah. Again, it comes down to your ego, mate. If you and you know, without sounding too disrespectful, you'll probably find it in most foreigners. Because
you played alongside Adam Ben Offa, and Adam is probably very similar to Saint and what Saint is, a flair player, a luxury player, if you must say. And obviously his attitude wasn't the greatest at times. You mentioned that on the last podcast, saying that he could have been an absolute world beater, but the mentality wasn't there to become that player. And like you said, is it just solely down to an arrogance thing?
I think so, yeah. I think it's just that the way they think, their mentality and stuff like that. So completely different from an English born and bred footballer playing in England. There's always a little bit of a swag and a chip, and especially at Premier League level, you've got to get used to it because you're going to have at least half the dressing room in probably every club in the Premier League because there's a lot of foreigners in there with the same type of chip and swag on them.
Do you feel that would ever get brought up on the training field and on the training ground, where maybe the likes of your captain that'll go up and say, just taking one side and saying you should have probably done this?
I imagine Eddie Howe probably addressed it, yeah. If I'm honest, if he's got all the players on side, he would have addressed it. I think he probably says, only, you know, not like I'm calling a meeting for this. Probably
just like a passing comment sort of thing.
Yeah, probably incorporate, add a meeting, but at the end gone, lads, listen, win, lose or draw, these fans are behind you. Show your appreciation. And just planted the seed. And if it happens again, probably then he pulls them to the side. And then that's when you get the whole, you're not bigger than this club. So
it makes sense. It makes sense to me. I don't think I don't think it was a malicious thing. I don't think it was like I'm going to purposely ignore these fans in the corner. I think it was just a case where I want to get for this field as quick as I possibly can. I think that's all that it was. And it's probably the reason, like you said, mate, where they just don't want it's not even a risk because I don't think it would have happened, but maybe in their brains I might have been, I don't really want to go there just in case that this happens. It's one of those things, mate, but it's been a couple of times this season and it's disappointing. It is disappointing, especially from your fan favourite as well, Callum Wilson and the likes of St. Maximin. The fan favourites at this football club, and they know it, of course they know it. And Callum Wilson, I can't imagine him running down the tunnel. But it was just a shame to see that from the likes of Saint, he's all there to take the plaudits when he does well, mate. But
of course, yeah, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, yeah. Of course, yeah.
What I want to do, mate, is if we're going to the transfer window, because right now we're right in the middle of the January transfer window, and obviously Newcastle are getting linked with every single player, left, right, and centre, under the sun. Any player that you can think of, Newcastle have probably been linked with at the moment. We brought Kieran Trippier in, like I said earlier, just won the La Liga with Atletico, played in the Euros for England, had an absolutely fantastic run out there as well. As a player in the dressing room and on the training field, when you bring a player in of that quality, what does that do for the likes of morale in the football club?
For everyone apart from who plays in his position, like Manquillo and Kraft, do you know what? Manquillo knows he can play left back and right back. So, but I think someone like him who can walk into your dressing room, who's just come from, like you say, one of the biggest clubs in Europe right now.
Easy.
you want to impress him. So when you go to training, he'll lift you for training. So that's how I can't understand how he makes his debut and you lose, because I think, like, surely everyone raised the game, because they've just signed a big player, England international, and like you say, league winner over in Spain. So it's a bizarre one, but it should have lifted everyone. It really should have. I mean, I've had
It
players
lifted the
walk in the
fan base,
dressing
I'll
room.
tell you that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, even I was excited, but I expected by now at least another one or two, because I don't want to see at the end of the window, when they're going into them Everton Villa games in Feb, that they're doing all the business on the last day of, because you've got Watford and Leeds coming up now. I think, do your business, get it done early, because that's 6 points. What if you go down by 3 points, 4 points, and you think, if we had him, or we had them three players, But I suppose it's not easy. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
The January
it looks like
window's supposed.
tomorrow you'll probably see the announcements of Chris Wood in there as well. So it looks
Yeah,
like he's had his medical today. And I think with Chris
yeah.
Wood, if you had have said to me X amount of weeks ago when the takeover first went through, your second sign in the January transfer window is going to be Chris Wood, I'm thinking, really? But I think the
I'd have
current
laughed at you.
situation,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But I think the current
Because
situation, Callum Wilson's injured. I
yeah,
think bring Chris Wood on. I honestly think, and it's not me being I have me tinfoil hat on there. I think other Premier League clubs probably don't want to do business with Newcastle United at the moment because of obviously the takeover which we've just had, and the fact that Chris Wood had the release clause in his contract.
yeah.
That's the reason, and we're taking away a key player from a relegation rival,
A rival. Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the same. I think obviously it gets rid of Burnley's
Mm.
goals that he obviously either creates or scores. So there's one of your rivals losing a big player in their team.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen it. He's only scored three this season. So, and
Three this season. Yeah.
every season he's always in double figures. So if he can get up to double figures and with a couple of assists before the season's done, it won't half help. But you just hope that, like, Newcastle fans take to him, because when I spoke to my brother the other day about it, we were almost like, well, you're the richest club in the world, and you're buying Chris Wood. But I spoke with Sky a couple of weeks ago, and I said, like, if I'm buying players now, and I didn't even include Chris Wood because he didn't even enter my head.
Yeah.
I'm buying I need proven Premier League players, but that are good and solid. And he didn't enter my head. I was thinking Cody, Tarkowski.
Yeah.
I was even thinking, get Ramsey, get him from Juventus. He's played in the Premier League. He played for Arsenal. He's a top player. I'm thinking, get these people in who are just steady the ship, but they know the league. I mean, I've seen targets there, 20, 22-year-old defenders coming from the French leagues, Monaco and Lille. Not proven. Kids, really. You put them up against Lukaku, he'll just bully them, because they don't know the league, they don't know the physicality of the Premier League, and then you're buying them for the future. I'm thinking, just, if you want to keep that club afloat now, go out there and just buy solid players. I mean, and them two centre halves, because that's where Newcastle struggled massively.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
I mean, like, they're almost like England's sort of second back two.
Yeah.
And they're not a bad back two to have. And I get it probably isn't as easy as saying, "Oh, go and get him, and go and get him." But do you know what? If you just got, like, players like that, there's no point going out and buying a striker who's not proven to score goals in the Premier League, because
I think
when
this is what
you're not going to get.
This is
You're not
what I
going to
mean
get
about
Papi
Chris
Cisse.
Wood. You mentioned Chris Wood. He scored 3 this season, but if you look at his previous stats over the last X amount of seasons, he's always finished in double figures, and he's always had a slow start of the season. It's always came towards the end of the season when he starts bagging goals. And hopefully, if he's released clause apparently 20 million, 25 million thereabouts, which is pocket change to Newcastle United at the moment. But a lot of people, and even Gary Lineker, turned his nose up at the fee which Newcastle United were paying for him. But if you want somebody that's can score goals and has scored goals in the Premier League, you're gonna be paying for a decent wage for them and a decent fee. And 20 million this day and age isn't a huge amount.
No, it's not. No, and if it can be a good part of your squad that stays up, then I bet he'll know anyway next season he ain't going to be Newcastle's main focal point.
Yeah.
But if he can be part of a project and he can go in and train and be a part of it for the next couple of years, it'll be better than staying at Burnley, because the club is going like somewhere, but they need to stay in the Premier League to do that.
It's the question I'm going to ask you now. It's a hard one to answer because obviously the experience you had in Newcastle United and the time that you came into the club, but even same situation with Chris Wood at the moment because he came from Burnley, who's another relegation rival. But let's say if you're a mid-table team right now and you're pretty comfortable, obviously you can still get relegated, you can still end up in Europe. You're one of those teams in the middle. If a team like Newcastle United that come in for you and offer you X amount of money in regards to weekly wages and monthly salaries, does it worry you the fact that their current position in the Premier League? If you were a player right now, and let's say if you're playing for Wolves, right, someone who's in that middle there, does it work? So Connor Cody, perfect example. Do you feel as if you take a step back to go to Newcastle United because you might think, right, going forward, I might have a better career?
You're risking it, yeah. Of course, you're risking the fact that you could be a Championship player next year, whereas Wolves don't look like anything close to that. So you're risking that, but then do you know what? Like, you can, to stay up and to be a rock at the back, say, for the season, what's remaining, you can be a hero to the fans. So like, there's loads of pros and cons to it, but if you said you're going to stay up and you're only going to stay up by a point, you'd go if it was banked, because then you're building for next year and you know new players are going to come in, players who've been there for a little while are going to ship out. So, and you know that you're going to be a big part of it, then of course you're going to take the risk, but you'd have to, you're never going to know, obviously, but you'd have to make sure you stayed in the Premier League.
One of the questions was sent across because as part of the membership, and like I said, when I've been posting this on social media, this is going to go out first of all to the members of the YouTube channel. I put it in our group, which we have there. And one of the questions which we had, Ryan, was how involved are players when it comes to the likes of transfers and new contracts? So do you solely leave that up to like the agent, or do you say to the agent, right, I want at least this, and this, make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, I can only go off past experiences really from myself, but
yeah,
I think if you're a player and you've got, let's say for instance, Mo Salah, he can almost tell the club what he wants.
Yeah.
Whereas 99% of players will probably speak to the club and try and work a figure out between themselves, or the club might just throw a figure at them, and then it's up to you then to speak to the agent, and then he goes back to the club and to and fro. And that's probably how much that's probably how it works in most cases. Is it's the club that offer you normally. I'd say the club offer you normally where they think of you. So until sort of you get offered your deal, I mean, if you've got a year left on your deal, you can ask your agent to speak to the club and try and get the picture. Do they want you or not? And if they don't, then obviously come January, they go, okay, well, we'll speak to it, obviously, people, because you're on a free. So I'd say it's more the club than the player, but only in special circumstances and special players will probably have that reversed.
Yeah, so it's normally you and the likes of chairman in a room discussing it. Then, like you said, the likes of an elite player, like somebody like Mo Salah, goes and basically agent just goes, "We want this, and this."
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So another question there. So this one's from Callum. He says, from a defender's point of view, who would you like to see at left back and centre back? Obviously, we've just touched the likes of Connor Cody. We've been linked with, like I said earlier, we've been linked with God knows how many players there. Is there anybody else currently in the Premier League that you think go and bring him in?
Well, you've got an unhappy left back at Everton there. Go and get him.
En route to Villa, apparently, mate.
I know, but you know, go and get him. Like, give him a bit more money. Whatever you get, he's not a little. He's not just like a little stopgap. He could be a player for the next few, at least 3, 4, 5 years. He's a top player. He's just unhappy at his club now.
And the thing is, I think the goalposts have changed a little bit because his first things were, I want European football. I want to play in London. He's going to Aston Villa, who definitely aren't in London, don't have European football. So it's a money thing now. So maybe it might be a league position thing, like we mentioned before, where Villa are obviously a lot higher in the league, and he does want to run that risk. But if that's the case, put the likes of some sort of clause in your contract. If Newcastle United get relegated, you have to sell me for this amount of money going forward.
Yeah. You could do, but I mean, there's your left back there. So, and again, proven Premier League top draw, one of the best left backs in the Premier League. And then your centre halves, we spoke about them. So obviously it's not like I'm not saying it's a dream back four, but could you imagine Saturday you're playing Watford and you've got Trippier, Digne, and Cody and Tarkowski? You'd feel safe, wouldn't you? Like, you'd feel a lot safer with them four than what currently is at the club playing, and probably is going to play on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I'll ask you this question as we'll start wrap up, mate. Right now, with the playing squad that Newcastle United have, if you forget about the rest of the transfer window, brought Trippier in. Let's say he's the only player that we bring in. Will Newcastle stay up this season? You can be honest, mate. You can be honest.
Yeah, no, listen, you'd probably be honest, and I reckon you give me the same answer, but you can't tell me after 19 games and 11 points you'd think that they would stay up, because a right back isn't going to change the team. If he was the only signing that came in right now, I don't think Newcastle could stay up, because there's just some that just aren't good enough, and it looks like some when it comes to the league. Okay, it's all good and well. Like, you're gonna have a go against Man United at home. They're a wounded animal right now, and with the fans and the lights on, been there and played in it and beat them, and I know how it feels and what a buzz. But this is now the next 4 games. This is where it counts. Your cities and everything. Forget them. That's not your league. Your league now is this next block of games. That's your league, and if you can go top of your league, and like I say, 7 to 9 out of 12 points, you've got half a chance. But currently now, if Newcastle don't pull the finger out, I don't see how they stay up, because some of them I don't think some of them are up for it, to be honest.
If you're on that team, and obviously the team that you played alongside, let's say, I know we were quite blessed with strikers at the time, so we had a few decent strikers. We had Demba, Papi Cisse, we had Loic Remy. Those were just your 3 top players at times. Newcastle United only had Callum Wilson really that was scoring goals. If you're on that team now and you lose that's one striker that's scoring you goals, as a player, you thinking, shit, like, how are we going to score goals now?
Well, you don't score many anyway, and then you lose him. Then that will creep into people's minds. You think, oh, fuck, like, he's our goal scorer, and I can't believe it. Not that I can't believe, but there isn't a backup, or they don't play with 2. As much as everyone loves Big Joe now, he was never a striker.
Yeah, never.
And he got hung out to dry playing as a 9, and it just shows that his game wasn't that. So you can't even put him back up front.
What do you feel about the turnaround with Joe Linton? Because right now he's the last handful of games. He's been man of the match for us every single game.
Well, do you know what? I am so happy for him. Do you know why? Because he was on his way out, and he was always going to be looked at as the biggest flop.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I went to Goodison Park a couple of years ago with my dad, and we watched him, and he was hopeless. I'm talking like one of the worst, and he weren't trying, and his body language was terrible, and it was like, get him off, and everyone was like, booing him, but you know what? Fair play to the fella, because it's not an easy place to flip your career around and get them from basically booing you to loving you,
Yeah.
because a lot of them, once you've made the minds up, you're done. But you know what? He's changed his game. He's changed his position. He's got love from the fans, and it doesn't half help.
You
And,
mentioned
and
before when we did a podcast before, Ryan, you mentioned that feeling when you had your first chant and when Newcastle fans
yeah, of
started
course, yeah,
doing
of
the
course,
chant
yeah,
towards you, how much that obviously gave you a huge
yeah. It
confidence
does.
boost. And Joe's got it at the minute. He's got his own chant
Of
now, and
course, yeah,
mate, it's one of the loudest chants I've heard for a long time in St James's
yeah,
Park. And I'll be the first person to say I never expected that. I never expected that from
yeah.
Joe Linton.
But it's class though, because a lot of people, a lot of people, and a lot of people I know who've been on the opposite side, like on the
Yeah.
bad side of it, they can't get out of it.
Mm.
They haven't got it in them to get out of it, and just shows obviously what a human he is, that he's got it in him to go. You know what? I'm not listening to you anymore, and then he's changed his game, and he's come out
Do you
on the
think that's a
right
good
side.
sign of his character that he just
Yeah, of
wants to
course, yeah,
graft and get that better position, better performances, become
yeah, yeah,
mate?
yeah.
I never thought I'd sit here and say like Joe is quickly becoming a fan favorite at this football club. When,
I
like you
know.
said, he looked like he was about to get
Yeah.
kicked out the door.
Oh yeah, and 52,000 were happy to boot him out,
Hmm.
but that's because everyone thought he was a number 9.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, fair play to Eddie for obviously realizing he's not.
came out of
He
luck.
probably had a
Came out of luck, mate.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, we got an injury and we didn't have anything else, and during the game we dropped him back into midfield. Then like that.
He
What
hasn't looked back
best performance
since.
we've ever seen since, and that game against
Yeah.
Man United, similar to the likes of Czech Tiordi and Mo Diarmi, he was just a
Oh
solid,
yeah, yeah,
solid
yeah, yeah.
defensive midfielder. It was
Oh,
crazy to see it.
yeah. He's good, mate. Yeah, he's a lot better than I thought. I'll tell you that.
Right, mate. I think we're just about done, mate. We've been going for
Yeah,
47 minutes here, and
yeah.
I think
No
we've covered
sound, mate. Yeah.
a lot of topics there tonight. Unless there's anything else which you want to mention as we're here.
No, just fucking pull the fingers out and start winning some games. It's depressing.
Mate, I'm there every week. What do you think I feel? like we said, we were mentioning
Oh,
each other after the Cambridge game, and you all listened to it, and I was like, I'm fucking there. I'm
I
watching this
know.
shit.
Oh, I know. But you know what? When you look back on the end of the season, if you're still in the Premier League, you're not asked about losing to Cambridge.
Yeah,
But next season, you can't lose to Cambridge next season, or anyone like Cambridge, because this season and next season should be chalk and cheese.
mm.
Hopefully, better.
Hopefully, mate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Better players coming in, money spent, stability, everything else. It should be completely different. So, you know,
There's been a few shouts just as we're at this. So there's been a few shouts for your new club, mate. So obviously you played your first game for Buxton last night, so that would have been Tuesday night. How did that go, mate?
do you
Are
know
the legs
what?
still
We
going?
lost. Yeah, do you know, and yeah, I played that holding midfield role, which now at 37, it does suit me. Try and just like calm people down and
Hmm.
get organized and stuff, and get on the ball, keep the ball easy, and just I know I'm not going to run around that pitch and chuck 4 step overs in and put a cross in. It's not my game. It's like, you know what, I've got the experience now to like obviously play at this level, to not just play for myself, but to try and help as many as I can.
Yeah.
And the manager brought me in, and you know what? I loved playing there last night. They've got some. I mean, I hadn't even met the players until I got on the bus. Um, so I didn't even know what I was walking into. It was on my mind all day. I mean, I've been in some big dressing rooms on some buses where, I'm new and everything else, but at 37, it still felt the same. I was nervous getting on the bus because, don't know hardly anyone's name. And then I've got to go and play with them, and then it's like, well, what? I wonder what they'll think of me. I mean, because I'm quite old compared to most of them. Do you know what I mean? And but you know what, mate? I don't feel like I am. The stats come back today. I'm playing as a holding midfielder. I covered nearly 11K, and for me as a holder, that's bearing in mind I didn't run, and that weren't taking corners either. So sometimes when you take a corner, there's another 50 yards. There's another 50 yards. So, and I didn't take corners last night, so I probably would have topped myself over 11K.
The half-time whistle blows and you're running down the tunnel just to get them speed stats up.
Oh yeah, I legged it. Yeah. But no, but you know what? I love it, and I want to play for as long as I can. I mean, that's the aim. Because everyone keeps telling me you're a long time retired. So the club have ambition as well. I mean, they've lost a couple on the spin now, so we need to change that round. So I think we're third in the league now with a game in hand on second, and we could go above them. But I think there's 18 games left, and if I can help them and be a part of it, 37 and have a little promotion at the end of my career. Who knows? I might go again next year. Feel like Peter Pan, mate. So I ain't stopping. I'm gonna be like that Japanese fella. I seen him on I think it was on one of the social medias today. I think he's like 53. We'll still be chatting like this, and I'll be like fully grey. Yeah, still playing. Yeah. Long time retired.
There's still two things which we need to do. Okay, so we still need to do the free kick thing. We still need to do that where you teach myself and the rest of the YouTube lads how to take free kicks, which will go down a treat because I guarantee you, out of forward, there's probably only one that's going to fit in a football shirt. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
And we still need to go out, mate. We still need to go and see a Newcastle game together. And have a night out in town.
Well, hopefully we go up with no hiccups. We've got to win the league. It's only one goes up automatic and then one in the playoffs. So ideally, season finishes at sort of mid to 23rd of April, I think it is. So that's the last game of the season. Not 100% sure when the Premier League finishes, but I could try and get to one of the last games of the season, and hopefully the Newcastle are safe or got half a chance of being
safe.
It
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we're safe or not. We'll go out.
And it's miserable,
It's never miserable, mate. It's never miserable in here. I swear to God, I've seen us get beat by God knows what teams, and the pubs afterwards, they're still full of life, mate. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, no, we will, mate. We definitely will.
Would 100%, mate. We'll arrange it when your season is finished. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching there today. Like I said, the likes of these podcasts and videos with myself and Ryan are available on the membership as well. You can sign up the membership. It's $2.99 a month. It's $4.99 a month, depending on which package that you go for. It's less than a pint unless you're in Wetherspoons, and you can get 2 pints. But yeah, next to nothing. It's a £5, and you get this sort of stuff from ourselves. Ryan, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, no, mate. Love it as always.
Chat up with you. And we'll be back next month, and hopefully we'll be out of the relegation zone next month, mate.
Yeah, for sure.
Fingers crossed.
Come on.
Fingers crossed.
7 points, 9 points. Come on.
Chris Wood's got 7 goals next time we speak.
Hopefully, yeah. And he's only played 1 game.
Thanks, Wade. Bye.
Bye. Ta, mate. See you later.